Hi there, how are you? This is Loise. Please welcome back to my channel. Today I have good news because I want to give an update about one more community that has started taking applications under the Rural Northern Immigration Program. And this is the community of Brandon in Manitoba. And this is a small community of about 50,000 people, which is located in the southwest corner of Manitoba, and it's about 1 hour away from the USA and the Saskatchewan border. In the past, this community has accepted about 7,000 newcomers, and it's the second largest city in Manitoba. That is in Manitoba. It offers affordable housing and has excellent settlement services for its newcomers. This community has a minimum wage of about $11.65 per hour, and the median household income per family that is $84,000 per year. An average cost, the average cost of a house in Brandon is about $271,000. So that is just a brief summary of this small community. As you can see, it's a small community just like the other communities which are participating in this program. What we've said is that there's two parts of eligibility. There's the federal eligibility, and then there's the community eligibility. So you must meet the federal eligibility, and then you must now come and meet the community evaluation criteria. So this community has an evaluation committee that is going through people's applications to see how well they are scoring. They have a point-based system, and their point-based system has a maximum of 140 points, which we shall be looking at briefly. What they are saying is due to the shortage of labor in this small community, they are recommending once you get a job, then it's important if you can apply for work permit or for temporary resident application, just so that you can be working while they're working on your permanent residence application. The usual procedure for applying for this program, just like the others, is that you need first to create a profile. Once you create a profile, you're going to look for a job. They have jobs listed in that community. You get a job that is eligible for this program. And then you're going to approach the community for recommendation that is going to be based on that job and a lot of other requirements. If the community recommends you, then you are going to be recommended to apply for permanent residence. And after you get your PR, you must come and live in this community. There is intent. You must show the intent to come and live and work. So you will be obliged, actually, you will be obliged to come and live in this small community, just so that you address the labor shortage and grow the economy. So without further ado, let us go through the point-based system, because this is what you should be looking at to make sure that you're scoring as high as possible. Only the people who score higher points in this program are going to be recommended for this program. Again, I say always know that competition is high. You're not the only person who is applying for this. Everybody from around the world, people who are in Brandon, people who are in Canada, they are all trying to apply for this program. Just so make sure then you're giving yourself the best shot, you're selling yourself, and you're making yourself that ideal candidate. How do we start with that? The biggest thing that I talk about across all immigration programs is language. So they want people who have higher than the minimum requirement. So I've said this before, don't just go for the bare minimum. If they've said they want the CLB, please make sure that you're scoring, go over and above. So for this, you know that the minimum requirements for NOC O and A is CLB 6, for NOC B is CLB 5, for NOC C and D it's CLB 4. But to be able to gain all the 15 points, there's a maximum of 15 points for this for language requirements here. Make sure please you're aiming for band 7 and above or band 8 and above. So that is for the main applicant. The main applicant can get 15 points if they score highly in language, and the spouse, if they've also done the language proficiency test, if they have over 4, CLB 4, then the spouse can also get you an extra 8 points. So as you can see there, you're already getting about 23 points out of language for you and your spouse. The other thing is if this is not mandatory, so it is if the main applicant studied for post-secondary in Brandon in the last 1 year for a course that went for 2 years, then and that was full-time study, then they can get themselves 10 points. If their spouse did the same, if they studied in Brandon for a course that lasted 2 years in the last 1 year, then they can also get 5 points. So see, if you studied in Brandon, you and your spouse, you can get a maximum of 15 points there. The other thing which is important, it's mandatory, is a job. So with a job, if you're already working in Brandon or you have work authorization to work in Brandon, you will get a clean 20 points. Okay? If you previously worked in Brandon, assuming you worked in Brandon and then you left. So if you worked in Brandon for a consecutive 6 months full-time or equivalent part-time in the last 3 years, you can get yourself 5 points. And that goes also to your spouse. If your spouse worked full-time in Brandon for 6 months consecutive or equivalent part-time in the last 3 years, it doesn't matter if they moved out of this place, they can also get 5 points. The other thing is if the applicant's spouse, so if your spouse, they don't need to have applied for this, but if your spouse has work experience from wherever they're coming from or post-secondary education that may be needed in Brandon, they can also get you an extra point. It's just a point, but it still counts. The other thing that can also give you points is if you lived in Brandon, for at least 6 consecutive months in the last 3 years, you get yourself 15 points. If your spouse lived in Brandon, it doesn't matter. If they have moved out and they lived there for a consecutive 6 months in the last 3 years, you get yourself an extra 5 points. The last, and I think this is like the major point, the major point here is ties in the community. I've seen that every community is requiring ties in a different way. So for Brandon, they want 3 kinds of ties. Any can do. If you have all of them, then you're good. But if you have close family, that is the one that has the most points. Close family connection. And these are people who are currently living in Brandon. Yes, they need to be either permanent residents or citizens who are currently living in Brandon for 2 years. This connection is going to get you points. So the close family connection can get you 30 points. That is maximum 30 points, not for one person. So who are these people? It's parents, it's children, it's siblings. So if you have a sibling, you have a legal guardian, or you have your children there, each, if you identify them, each can get you 10 points to a maximum of 30 points. They need to write a recommendation. Okay, the other connection is called medium family connection, and this one has a maximum of 15 points, and each person identified in this connection can give you 5 points. So you can show 3 of them to get the 15 points. And these people who are classified as medium family connection are grandparents, they are uncles, they are cousins and nephews and nieces, aunties, and that. So those are the medium family connection. And last but not least is the friend. If you have a friend who lived in Brandon, Manitoba, your friends there can get you a maximum of 6 points. So assuming you have 3 friends, each can get you 2 points. Each can only get you 2 points. So you need to show 3 to get the maximum 6 points. So you're going to see that if you can tick most of those, that is, you can show language, you can show a job, and you have a connection there, or maybe you started there in the past, then you're going to be scoring highly and you stand very high chances of being recommended for this program. So again, I think I said about applying for work permits. They've said that if you get a job, they're recommending that you apply for a work permit just so that you're already working while your permanent residence is in process. So yeah, currently, which is also new for this community, I have seen that they don't have a specific skill set that they want. So it's not like Thunder Bay where they said you must, they want this particular skill set. Here they have jobs. So they're going to be listing jobs that they need. So these jobs are going to be changing frequently. Just make sure that you keep checking on the jobs and apply for them. So currently they need a computer programmer, they need an industrial meat cutter, a master dental technician, a podiatrist, a pork production technician, production worker, and a sanitation worker. Again, these jobs are just they're temporary. They're going to be changing. Keep watching if there's a job that fits your profile and then apply for it. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, one thing, the timeline for this is about 1 year, but that is not written on stone. It can change depending on a lot of factors, depending on how fast you can get your paperwork done, depending on how fast the immigration offices are going to be working. So thank you so much for joining me today. Let me see you at my next video. Please subscribe if you've not subscribed. Subscribe and share this video. Okay, thank you. Bye.